I'm like,
but how we navigate?
after that I realized.
Hello and welcome to Faith Uncensored. I'm Pastor Ann, and today we are here with Pastor Joshua, Ting Xuan, and Kenny. We want to touch on a very interesting topic this morning, afternoon, and evening, whatever time that you're watching. And our session is entitled, Don't Scold My Mother. How did we even come up with that topic?
Well, it's very interesting. Most profanity words, you're here in the world and all that, it ends with mother.
Mother. And somehow it doesn't involve father. You scold any language, it's always your mother lah. Somehow you just put a bad word in front, you end with the mother, it's always referring to the mother.
Yeah. Poor mothers.
We always use a mother as part of our bad words. So we are thinking that today we want to talk a little bit about this.
Yeah, because words, language have such interesting bearing on our everyday life, and how we use it, whether for good or for bad, does have huge impacts on our life. So we just want to hear from your experience, because all of us have such experience growing up, and all of us have either experimented or been involved with using bad languages or words, especially as a teenager. So maybe you can share some of your stories and what are your experiences?
Yeah.
I think I share first.
Yeah.
Because
insurance share first, because both our experience is quite rich.
Quite rich.
It get worse. So we start with the good one first.
Okay, so I'm Ting Xuan. Growing up, I do not use any foul language or bad words because of my family culture. But that is not the same when I was working. When I was working, it was terrible. After graduated from medical school, I worked as a clinical dietitian and assistant manager in a private hospital. Professionals, doctors are whom we usually look up to, but they are not necessarily decent in speaking. On one incident, I actually encountered that the doctor was scolding the nurses with profanity for their mistakes. Then what happened was that the head nurse had to, in order to put a stop to the argument, the head nurse has to use the same word that the doctor used to shout back at the doctor.
Wow.
So to me, that was not right
So
at
it's
all.
a competition between who used the stronger bad words.
Who is louder?
Who is
Yes,
louder?
exactly.
Kenny?
For me, I grew up in a Christian family, but that doesn't mean I don't have a rich past in bad words, because I also grew up in an all-boys school. And so the way we use bad words, because I grew up in a Christian family, so we are taught not to use. So I didn't use it in a scolding way. I didn't use it to scold people. I didn't use it in a daily language. But in the all-boys school, we do a lot of crude jokes. So it was used in crude jokes. We changed lyrics to songs. Last time very, very famous one during the 90s. Any new song come out, the song sound a bit out of one. Then we will change the whole lyrics. Then we will sing. We will laugh. We will make fun. So so it was that time where there are profanity. We used it in crude ways. Telling jokes and also singing songs. Yeah.
All right, my story is that I come from a kampong where you got all the different races mixed together, and of course, being in a non-Christian family, there's no limit to the words that we cannot use. Don't use bad words. There's no. In fact, my family side, being Cantonese family, we are known, especially Cantonese side, we are known that the words can be very flowery. They will just use bad words, but they don't see it as a swearing. They don't see it as a bad word. Just part of their conversation. Okay, they are not happy. They just toot. But it's not scolding, it's just they want to emphasize on how unhappy, or they want to emphasize on a certain things. The bad word will come. Or even during when I was in school, all the different races, this is how we communicated, and we feel that when we use bad words to talk to each other, we feel like we have something in common. We use bad words together, so we get connected. So you don't use it to scold each other, but use it as a way to talk and connect. And that was in my secondary school. Whether it's scolding your mother or some other words. So we also know certain bad words is we use it as part of a conversation, and we know don't cross over the limit. But now, knowing that it's still a bad word. Yeah, it's still quite profane. It talks about, for in this context, is mother, or certain body parts, or certain language that's just pure swearing. Yeah.
I think this is really interesting to recognize that using bad words is not necessarily just to condemn somebody or just to bring down someone. And it's interesting even from your stories that it's used for bonding.
Yes.
It's used to
We
bond
bond
people
through bad
together.
words.
is used for fun or for emphasis or for focus or for power. And I just suddenly had this thought that it is a lot more than we thought. So why do people use bad words? What are the trigger points that cause people to just even want to use languages that are flowery?
I can only say from where I came from. Like I said, just to use, it's part of daily conversation. We don't see it as bad. In fact, if you don't use it, you are out. You're not in. You're not part of like the gang, the group. So everyone just uses those words, and it's not seen as unprofessional. What it's just daily conversation. And when you say what trigger point, I don't know whether there's even a trigger point. They just use it unnecessary one. The words are you take out the word mother, the word still makes sense one. But we just use it as part of conversation. And of course, more common is when they get angry, when they want to scold, is of course they use it for that purpose. But even daily conversation, they just sitting down and just talk. Bad words is just part of it. Yeah.
I agree with what Pastor Joshua has shared. And I feel that in my environment, some people actually use this to express their thoughts and feelings.
Correct.
To tell people, the other party, know that I'm upset, I'm angry, I'm not satisfied with what you're saying or what you're doing. And some may actually use that with the intention of hurting the other party.
Right. So it's also for expression in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said if you want to go technical in the language, it's actually adjective to enhance the word. You know, last time, when we were students, when you want to say the food very nice, then you actually put one word in front. Then it becomes the food really nice. You know, it's
correct.
Nice.
Okay.
So that is to be technical, but I guess in the all boys school, it's actually part of culture, and of course, also one part of it is anger. You know, when we want to express anger and all that, it's just one word will fly out of your mouth, then you throw chair, throw table, that kind. I think it's a lot of anger. That is the big part of it, I guess.
We can't give example. We are very tempted to give you a real life example to stress our point, but I think you guys get it. But I think the closest one, which is I think not too bad if it's this recorded, I think the word sometimes we use the word damn. Let's say, for example, the food, I can easily say it's very nice. But it's different, you will say, damn nice way. Emphasis.
Yes. It's like more than very nice.
So.
You know, I think another question is, as we move on history, there are newer and newer bad words, isn't it? Some of those react videos I've been watching expresses some new words I've never heard of and never known. Nowadays, even emoji can be found. It's so strange. Emojis I never knew can become bad, can actually mean something very coarse. You know, how does this happen, and how are we going to navigate this new world if there are bombs around us everywhere?
You say the new ones, no lah. I also, a lot of new ones I know is while watching all those reaction video. I actually recently just watched a reaction video on what emoji means, like simple emoji can mean so much.
Same.
Oh my goodness. So I guess education. It's like education, keep yourself updated, that kind of thing.
Won't we soon run out of words and emojis to use if everything can be corrupted and used as bad languages?
They can use
Yes.
food.
Yes.
Food.
It's like
Color.
I feel that all words are actually neutral if you look at it,
Yeah.
until we give meaning to them.
Correct.
So it is very important to understand the intention of using certain words.
Yeah.
And also based on the context, based on the culture, we ourselves will know if those words are used on ourselves. Because we only feel the pain when we are pricked, right? So if next time we encounter any new words and we are not sure about that, we try to think twice. What if people use that word on us? Does it?
Yeah. And I think Tingshan brought up a very good point. Sometimes it's not sometimes. It's not the word, it's the intention used behind those words. A word can be very innocent, but if it's intended to use it badly, or like a curse word, it is still bad. Like for example, a lot of people sometimes they use, instead of using the FU word, they use the word flipping. They say it's not a bad word, but no, you intended those words as bad word, regardless if you change it. For example, we know certain country or certain culture, they use God's name as a swear word. But you know, the name itself is holy, but they use it as unholy word. Therefore, we feel sometimes it's not just the form, regardless of how innocent it is the intention behind. And coming back to what you said, we give weight to the word. So a word can be innocent, can be good, but if we put it down, it becomes bad. So I think it's not so legalistic, it's about what word you use. It's the intention behind those words. Yeah.
Which is now bringing us to recognize that we are talking more than just words.
Yeah.
We're talking more than just coarse jokes or the words we use. We're actually just talking about our language in itself. Everything we say and everything we mean behind what we say. I guess that's why God has always given more focus on how we use words, that we use it to build up people, that we use it to be a blessing, that we use it graciously.
In Ephesians 4 verses 29, it actually says, let no corrupting talk come out of your mouth, but only such as good for building up, as fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear. So that is what I live by now, saying that if whatever comes out of my mouth is not building up, it doesn't build up that person. It doesn't, building up words doesn't need to be, sometimes it's not only nice words, sometimes it's also rebuke someone. So as long as, to me, I feel like it can build up that person, then yes. And to me, profanity in no way builds up a person.
Yeah, correct.
In no way.
Yeah. Yeah, if I may just add on this, I sometimes feel it's not so much a Christian can or cannot do or don'ts, it's go beyond that. Because we are saying if Christian, living as a Christian means having a relationship with God himself, then I feel that in everything we do, we live in view of that relationship. So I feel we don't use bad words, or we choose not to use bad words, not because we can't, but we choose not to, because it's no longer who we are. And I feel who we are determines what we do, and what we do reflects who we are. And because this is not who I am, I'm just someone who don't use bad words, and that's why I don't use bad words. It's not because I can't, just because it's not who I am. And if I do, it no longer reflects who I am. So therefore, to stay true to who I am in Christ, we choose not to use certain words or to have certain behavior that doesn't reflect him and doesn't reflect us actually. Yeah.
And I think that is actually very important, because who we are, we can actually bring influence to the people around us. When we choose not to say, we choose to build people up, we can actually see the ripple effect. Can see how the people around us also will start to change. So, and also for me, Bible says that the Bible says that the tongue is a flame of fire. It is a whole world of wickedness corrupting your entire body. And I grew up not using full language, because I always have this belief that whatever we say will become reality sooner or later. So we are using all these words beside building people up. We also do not actually want to bring curse to people around us. We don't want people to scold our mother, and we don't want to actually bring curse to the people around us.
Right.
Yeah.
And that actually reminds me of the scripture also says that death and life are in the power of the tongue. We don't actually realize how powerful it is that an organ so small as a tongue has the power to actually define ourselves and to change the course of history around us and the community around us as well. And it is very true that if we do not watch that we actually abuse the power that we have, which is languages. And there's the article by John Piper in the website desiringgod.org that speaks about this. And I like how he puts it to say that words itself has very weighty meanings. It has actual meanings. And when we use those words and twist it to use it as coarse jokes or bad languages or just for fun, we actually make those words very small. And it loses its impact. It loses its actual weight and meaning. And then when we use it so flippantly, it actually completely change our language and its meaning and what it can actually mean. And people no longer fear what they should fear and desire the good that they should desire.
Yeah, correct. I remember last time when I was working in the marketplace still, apart from bad words, they do talk dirty jokes. But they don't, I think by now we know that they don't see it as dirty, they see it as funny. It's actually coarse joke. Now, I remember because I was that time, I'm learning how not to use all these words because it's no longer reflect who I am. So it's not so much of it's like can or cannot thing. It no longer reflect who I am. It's not the image that I want to portray. Okay, it's no longer in my so-called, my word diet. Okay, therefore I choose not to go that way. And I remember the people around us, around me was still talking dirty jokes. Now, every time when they do it in the conversation, when we're sitting there doing it, I can either make myself feel very uncomfortable and make them feel uncomfortable. It's like imposing on them. Or I can just be there. I don't join them in those jokes. But because I'm physically there with them, I'm just listening. And then when they laugh, I just smile along. And it's fine. Another way to put it is this. Just imagine if I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat meat. All of you eat meat. And I can just sit there. Instead of making all of you feel judged, okay, that you're eating meat, okay, as though like my value system is higher than yours or my diet is better. I just feel that that's your diet. You eat meat and I don't. And we are fine. We can still sit on the same table. We can have conversation. We can eat together. We can laugh. It's just that this is my diet because I'm a vegetarian and I don't eat your meat. But I don't condemn you for using. And over time, people will get used to you. They're comfortable around you. And we just pray that, that like in this context, as a Christian, we can actually add positive value to our working place. That hopefully the conversation can be, the speech that we use, the words that we use can be more building, more positive, or use the marketplace word can be more professional. Yeah. So that's my thought to this.
It's a good story that you shared to say that actually it's not about making sure the environment around us, forcing the environment around us, users or not use. If people use, that's their area, but we can take a stand to say we do not. We will choose always to build up. We will choose always to be the light. We will choose always to bring hope, not darkness, not condemnation, not tearing down others as well.
When I was in an environment of profanity, like how does this culture of building up can actually affect that environment? So I used to work in a company where profanity is just a very normal thing, a daily thing. So what I did is I realized I can't impose my view on them as well because they are non-Christians. Their upbringing is totally different. I can't go there and say, hey, you can't say bad words, But I realize every time they say something bad, you realize the intention behind it. Like, why are they scolding this person and all that? Then you try to just change their mindset and say, hey, maybe this person is doing this way because like that. Don't need to scold like that lah. Don't need to use profanity lah. And then you don't join in. When they actually say profanities and all that, you actually don't participate. And slowly they will realize that you are different. You are the one that they don't. Then they will, of course, the first phase of it, they'll make fun of you lah. You will be the one that, this guy don't say bad words, those kind of thing. But slowly they realize your intention behind it is actually to build up people. Your intention is actually to not to harm people. And when they need words that build them up, when things happen to them, they will kind of find you. Yeah, you are who they will approach rather than some other people.
Yeah.
I think you have a very interesting story that is different that you perhaps can share with us. What happened at your workplace?
Okay, so following the story that I told previously in my workplace, what happened is that I decided to step up. If you remember, I mentioned that I was assistant manager, so I actually have the power to do something about it. So I decided to issue a warning letter to the doctor, for verbally abusing the nurses. Okay, so I feel that actually being a fresh graduate, my heart was pounding very fast. My hands were shaking when I did that. It was also not a common thing. I think never in the history in the hospital there's this kind of letter issued to a doctor. Okay, so I feel that as a Christian, what we can do, I can share is that to ourselves, we have to draw a line between free speech and profanity. And profanity, based on what Kenny and Pastor Joshua has shared earlier, is the impact that you bring when you say those words. That's how you recognize it. And also, if we can, within our means, within our power, we can walk the extra miles to stand up for what we believe in the workplace, to do something different.
Thank you for taking such a stand, Ting Xuan, because your environment is different when it involves working people and involves authority. There is a greater impact than just joking among friends. And sometimes, as Christians, we do need to stand for what is right, to protect those who are weaker, to protect those around us. Thank you for sharing that story. I think we want to bring this to a close very soon and to just repeat the idea that as a Christian, I just love that feeling and the idea that when we talk about God's call on us, it's not so much just about saying no to certain words, but to saying yes to words that build up. It is very freeing, I think, for us
Yeah.
to just focus on things that will build up. Focus on building ourselves into a direction that we just want to build others up. And when we think about that, think about what builds us up. Think about what brings hope. We automatically know what does not. And the words that do not. We automatically know. You don't have to break it down, you just know.
Yeah, correct. And I think if you allow me to also share this from Colossians chapter 4 verse 6, the Apostle Paul says this, let your speech always be gracious, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer each person. I think as who we are, it's important that we carry this. And I know in one of our conversation, we were talking about this artist, I would not mention it, this artist in US, that he was choosing a career to be a rapper.
Yes.
And then and he was actually listening to all these rapper songs full of profanity word. And I remember I don't remember the full story here, but the gist of it is this: that the grandmother chose to write a letter, okay, to this young man who's choosing a career to be a rapper and listening to all this music. She said something to the effect that to this grandson of hers, to say that I believe that intelligent man would not need to use such profanity words, such bad words, to express himself. And I believe in you, and I believe that you can be the man that we believe that you can be, to that effect. And that person that artist growing up has choose not to use profane words in his singing and his acting as well. And I think that is very powerful. Yeah.
That's good.
Amen. That is a very good story to recognize that sometimes we think that that's the only way to make it because people say that,
correct.
right? Especially in entertainment industry. But there are so many who have stood up, whether it's stand-up comedian or rapper, who
Correct.
just say they will not. And they are making it in the world without the need for those.
Yeah, correct. Correct.
Well, thank you so much for having this conversation together with me. We do not know how to end this session, but we just want to say thank you to everyone that's listening as well. And we hope that our conversation has been a blessing to you. We hope that our conversation has built you up and your community. And we hope that it will be able to bring and shed some light to this topic, Don't Scold My Mother.